Hello, one person. If you can hear me, let me know. Basically, what I have is a plan to try build a keyboard. This small one here. About 37 keys. And very strange layout as a result. And I want to build it anyway, and decided, sure, why not try document that to some extent, I guess. So the first thing I'm going to do is, for keys of a certain size, like the ones I'm using for my spacebar, you need to support them and stabilize them a bit. So I have a couple of stabilizers that are naturally quite metallic and a bit loud, but I'm hoping to apply some lubricant, make them less obnoxious, less offensive. So I've only used stabilizers once before. A lot of my keyboards are, well, they're small, a bit like this one. They have keys that don't need support, which is kind of by design, because these things are a bit of a pain. The one experience I do have making them is mixed. I've done two previously, and one turned out pretty good, but the other ended up a bit scratchy. It didn't sound very good. I'm missing a washer. Okay, gonna start at the very beginning. A very good place to start, as they say. And start with these housings. So stabilizer is composed of 4 parts, roughly 5, I guess, sorry, including the wire. A pair of housings, a pair of inserts into those housings, and a pair of wires that go into the inserts that go into the housings, along with a couple of screws and washers to attach everything. So, Anton, I am using some Duroc V2 screw-in stabilizers. And they seem to be pretty good. Actually, I'm only 90% sure that this PCB actually takes screw-in steps. Looks like the screw-in ones should work fine. Where are they clipping? time to visit the build guide. Could save myself some hassle, and I guess eventually need to revisit it if it's actually clip-in stabs, which I don't have. Okay, so not 100% clear to me on that. So let's see if I can try fit them. So the name of the keyboard is QAZ, or everyone calls it QAZ. And the name comes from the lack of a traditional Q, A, and Z key. Okay, this seems to work with the stabilizer I have, which is good. Good to verify that. So can I do anything easy to bring up a photo? Don't think so. Basically on a normal keyboard you have Q, A, and Z, and to the left of that you have like your shift and your tab, and on this you won't have shift or tab, and the A and Z will be bigger keys. Can I find my Z key? There's my A key, for example. There's the Z key. So they follow the same shape or appearance of a bigger keyboard, but have fewer keys. So you're kind of about 11 keys wide. So the last time I did stabilizers, they ended up a tad scratchy. So I'm going to try to be a bit more generous with the lube. I have to be mindful now of the fact that what's close for my eyes is not even remotely on camera. So that's a learning experience. I've done 0 full-size bars. The 2 stabilizers I've done previously weren't full-size, but were instead the 2U. So they were teeny tiny spacebars. For what's kind of a split spacebar configuration of, instead of having the one proper bar, you can do something like one of them is space and the other one is backspace, or the other one could be enter, whatever you like. Personally, as someone that makes a bunch of errors, having backspace in an easy to reach spot is rather convenient. So that's what I'm planning on doing today as well, is using a pair of smaller stabilizers, a pair of smaller spacebars, doing that split spacebar look, and seeing how we go from there. If you can hear me okay and the music's not too loud, or I'm not too mumbly, or you have any feedback on ways that any of this could be going a bit better, please do give me that feedback. First time trying to do anything on a stream and feeling rather self-conscious that it could all be going up in flames and I wouldn't even realize. thank you, Scruffles, for the feedback. I hope you're doing all right. Thank you also, Anton. Going for chill build time. Try ward off any stress that I will experience if it all goes tits up. So I'm kind of drowning these things in lubricant, probably a bit too much, and I'm using some Krytox grade 0 205G, which is a fairly thick lubricant, so that could maybe come back to bite me. It could end up being a bit stiff or sluggish, I think is a word people use sometimes. But hopefully not. Hopefully I'll have hit the sweet spot. I think I went a little bit too light the last time I did one of these. And the unfortunate thing about going too light is it's a pain to take everything apart and fix your one mistake. So I'm going to try compensate for that this time around. Okay, I think at this point, can I remember? Okay, I think I know what I'm doing with my stabilizers to basically finish them. That's mostly going to look like using this fucking abominable substance. What is it even called? Is it BDZ? Yeah, XHT BDZ, another Krytox lubricant, which is looks like meringue, like stiff whipped peaks or whatever. I would say it is unfortunate that it makes a nice result because it's somewhat torturous to use. So with this stuff, I'm just kind of covering up the bars where they insert into the inserts. So there's kind of two things that I'm trying to mitigate against here, which is the sound of the bar against the insert, and that's what this is for. And the first set was to mitigate against the insert against the housing, which is kind of a lesser offense and easier to stop, whereas this is a loose metal bar and I'm basically trying to restrict it somewhat with this very thick substance that will hopefully stop it bouncing around quite as much. So I think that ought to do it for this one. Hello, Steve. Oh, I've done this in the wrong order. Can you tell I'm inexperienced with stabilizers? Okay. Insert into housing first, secondarily wire into insert. Okay. So here I have, this is basically what it does. It goes up and down, and hopefully that seems like it's moving freely. So I'm hoping I nailed it there. So more of this. Oof. This all going well, aside from the fact that I'm terribly slow and I'd like to think methodical, but probably I'm just slow. Should be a quick enough build, like there's not many components. So all going well, will kind of be in and out, but that remains to be seen. Yeah, I put out a kind of small feelers of hello, I'm doing stream in just a few places to see how this goes. Did I put you in backwards? I sure did. Okay. So this is the part where this terrible BTZ stuff gets all over my hands. As I said, it is a bit regrettable that it works so well because I don't like working with it. Okay, let's try knock these other two out. Sorry. Keep forgetting framing. This could be nearly end up like a purely audio experience if I don't keep in mind the fact that I have a camera over my head. So that's just going to take a bit of remembering. What you managed to stain your mat with? Was it the BDZ, something else? I've stained it a bit through mostly trying to mess around with acrylic inks. But it seemed better to stain this than anything else. I've also cinched a bit, putting my iron down on it. But I think it kind of came out alright. Alright. Oh, that's unfortunate. I'll have to keep in mind to not stain all of my possessions with this stuff. I'll have to wash my hands carefully maybe before I go any further. Marshmallow fluff is a bit too generous for this stuff. I guess the consistency might be similar, but at least you can lick one off your fingers or whatever this is. I don't want to be anywhere near this stuff really. Okay, I think I'm done with this pair of stabilizers. All going well. After this, I need to try find my tiny diodes and okay, I'm gonna set the stab wires aside for now. maybe a quick look at them. They seem to move freely, which I think is kind of the main concern I had, is that they wouldn't. Oh, that one's actually outside of its housing. Oh, losing frames. That could well be me. Let's see what I can do about that. I may have a few things too many going on this computer. Okay, I think I'm gonna need to... I wonder if I can park my frames below 60. Might give me a better chance of not... tells you if your performance think. Okay, thank you. Newbie here. So this is saying drop frames 0 supposedly. So it's not a network issue. That seems like it's more the computer then. Video. Okay, unfortunately I can't change that setting without ditching the whole stream. I was going to try drop down to 30, but unfortunately patchy 60 frames per second is what we're going to be running with for now. If it becomes bothersome, let me know, and I guess I can bail and start it up again. Okay, maybe I try a quick 1-2, drop the stream, come back up again. Be right back. Okay, we are back and hopefully at a not so buttery 30 frames per second without any drops. Yeah, in all the glory of 30 frames per second. Okay, done with the lubricants for now. Emotionally, if not technically. So, here I have my box of bits. Watch your ears, guys. Okay, gonna need that. We can put those away for now. So I have a mess of keycaps that I'm going to move away. Some switches I'm going to put over there, but and silly me, when I was packing the box, put the diodes that I would need first at the bottom. So you know, you live and you learn. Alright. I have an unfortunate mixture of 3-pin and 5-pin switches, and that is unfortunate because without a plate, only a 5-pin switch is really able to properly align itself. So I have this 3D printed part, which will act as a makeshift plate for up to 3 switches at a time, so that I can try group them together. You can try buddy up the 3-pin ones with the 5 pins and align them that way. These, I wonder if you can see that at all, are the teeny tiny SMD diodes that are going to be going into this. Now, a couple of people in the chat that have probably worked with smaller things, but I'm a bit of a shaky hand to be trying to do those rather cleanly. So we'll see how we go. So I have the camera I'm using is actually my iPhone. Let's see if we can do this without disaster. Overhead iPhone. 3D printed part for the camera cover. I think what I'm going to do with the diodes is kind of put down a bit of solder onto the pads by the switches on one side, and then go back after I've done all that, tack on the diodes, and then tack on the other side. Unfortunately, I've already broken the seal on swearing for the last stream, technically, but I'm going to stay quiet on this one. Okay, pencil, do your thing. I'm not using any external flux, but I am using this 6040 with rosin flux, which I like the smell of more than I should. This seems to be cutting out on me. Keep going. Maybe it being a good brand is why the smell isn't as atrocious as some of the previous ones I've had. Why are you only drawing 9 watts? Modern technology, all good when it works. A bit baffling when it doesn't. Be right back. Okay, let's see if we can get you any higher this time. And we do. Super. Yeah, I know 9 watts should work, but it was also 9 volts, and it can normally go kind of 20 watts, or at least, 20 volts and maybe 60 watts when it wants to. And I was hoping it wanted to. The pencil is really nice when it does the kind of quick heating thing and gets going, and it's a bit mysterious when it just hangs out at the lower temperatures. So here we go. I guess tacking on a bunch of welds, a bunch of joints, and seeing how we go. I may end up leaning over this. That's kind of just shy of inevitable and rather unavoidable, I would say. because my eyesight is not good enough to look at that simply at a distance. Gonna take some leaning over. More heat is sticking to the iron than I would like. Sorry, more solder is sticking to the iron than I would like. Not quite enough is going actually where I want it, which is on the pad. But we're getting some flux on, sorry, some solder on the pad. Isn't too bad. Slightly unfortunate thing about this PCB is that there is a lot jammed in, and some of the pads are in awkward places that I would rather they weren't. I think that might actually just be the reset. So I'd briefly forgotten to look at the build guide, but diodes are indeed the first thing on the list, which is a nice sanity check. All going well, I should get the diodes done fairly fast. Then what I have is a socketed nice nano controller. Well, rather, I have the pins to go into sockets. I'm going to have to attach the socket up here. This one is one that I managed to kill the charging ability of, so I'm going to have to take off the battery because it's not doing anything. And the QAZ will be going wired. Which isn't so bad. I have my macro board up here at the top of my desk, and that is also running a wired nice nano. Works just fine. Just would be nice to get that extra wireless feature if I hadn't bought it, but you know, at least the controller hasn't lost all value just because of my mistakes. So Sean, I've killed 2 nice nanos this way, I think. Yeah, I think the one that I've killed that way previously is now in lack, and this one is going in here. So admittedly I have more nice nanos than I should, strictly speaking. But it has left the opportunity to do some projects with the dodgy ones. So Anton has actually kept track of how many I've bought, and I refuse to buy more at the current time. I'm getting to a point where if I need more, I think I'm going to start harvesting them from current projects before dumping more money. I have a couple in my current split board, which is below the desk. Not sitting on the floor, I have a keyboard tray. And I have 2 more working V2 nice nanos. And they're both on my corn. Strictly, I think it's probably pronounced corne, but it's I'm not one for Spanish, Japanese pronunciation. So obviously the two on my own board that are currently in use, they're not getting stripped unless I make a revision to Ishka and redesign my own designed board. And I do like the corn, but if I get something with if I get a different flat board with some better ergonomics because it's socketed, it'll be easy enough to lift and place those nice nanos somewhere else. Okay, now to double check my work when I can actually see it. And the first thing I see is one pad I didn't even touch. The rest of them all seem to have enough soldered that I can probably, once I patch up that one, sorry, this one, here we are. Once I patch up that one, I can probably actually start tacking on the diodes. One of you is a bit weird. That's you. Okay. Tune the tip. I'm trying to keep this soldering iron tip in good form. I've two other soldering irons that I've both abused slightly or malused, and they're not so pretty anymore. One of them is temperature controlled, and I've actually used it for like trying to weld 3D printed parts. So that one is proper malpractice usage, but the other one just kind of wasn't well looked after. Okay, I'm going to take out a few diodes at a time so I hopefully don't lose everything all over the floor. I wouldn't put it past me. And a couple of tweezers. I have more over there, can't tell if they're on screen. Actually they're not. A few other sets, but these ones are good for trying to get something flat with the board. I haven't done SMD diodes in probably slightly more than a year, so we're gonna see how this goes. This will be a bit of an adventure. Okay. So on this one again, small black line on one side that must align. So I'm tacking onto the pads in between, but the black line must be on the side with the square pad outside of it. If I get that wrong, that will come back to bite me. So fingers crossed I can not make any mistakes the first time around. Let's examine the handiwork. So that's pretty level against the PCB. Right side is on and everything, and it's mostly straight. This will not be the prettiest diode work you have ever seen. Unless it's the only diode work you've ever seen. But that's quite the caveat. Yeah, nice simple build. Few keys, only 2 stabilizers, but diodes that would break your heart. So struggle to even just pick these things up the right way. Okay, so quick progress check. Better to check my work regularly. Yeah, Ballard, it's definitely missing some more conventional keys, but should be plenty. Some of the keys aren't in the most comfortable position, but it is nice that there's kind of no pinky reaching or anything. It is a fairly good board for that. It does have some tucky thumbs though. A tucked thumb is not a good thing. Okay, quick progress again. I am managing, it turns out, to actually plug, let's see if I can show this easy, plug some of the places that a legged diode would go. But since I'm using the SMD ones, I shouldn't have need to account for that. Hello, Finn. Welcome to this car crash waiting to happen. So the good news is that compared to these diodes, the rest of the soldering will be easy. These diodes are definitely the thing I will struggle with the most out of this build. My fine motor skills are not renowned. I am not known for my ability to work with tiny things at a distance. Even attached. Barely. Just want to properly attach this one before it rips a pad off or something. Oh, well in here. Oh, that's not pretty at all. Leaning into some of the jank here rather than trying to spend too long trying to fix it. I could potentially go back with some solder with, or I do have my solder sucker on the table, but those are not happy tools. There is no honor in resorting to those tools. Oh. So I did manage to make a mess of this first one. More than I thought. All going well though, this won't be a big issue. I suppose all going well, it wouldn't have been any sort of an issue, but no, that could be better. I've not set myself up well with this one for getting the second pad on. I think I've just fixed it though. So that's my Q key. I guess you can all bet against me if you think the Q won't work first try later on. Okay, back into the flow of it. So these tweezers, which I am mostly quite fond of, are slightly magnetic. I'm sure that's probably helped me in a bunch of situations that I'm unaware of. But what I am aware of when using them is only really the times where it feels like a nuisance. And when metal things stick to them when I'm trying to put them down. Oh, this doesn't seem wholesome. Okay, so these diodes I'm managing to basically heat them up enough that they're warming the opposite pad from time to time, which is entirely undesirable. See, Zora, we have no desk mat changing here. None of this shenanigans will be tolerated. I'd have a breakdown, I think, if I had to try do it now. So I hope you like the tiny bit of the Alex Otis mech mat that you can see. This one's a tad dodgy. Looks like there's an electrical connection, but time will tell. If I ever do this again, which I might, we can open up the possibility of allowing for trolling. But at the moment, this being baby's first stream, I'm not feeling that brave. Tasty, tasty fumes. I am trying to blow them away from me a bit and not inhale all the nasty fumes. Nasty from a health perspective, I am more fond of them than I should be. The real solution would probably be to get an extractor fan with some activated charcoal and whisk them away from me, but I've not bothered yet because I don't build keyboards terribly often. Thanks, Z. I'm sure that I can count on you for those hard facts. Let's see. Okay, diode gone. Missing in action. I do have a few spare, but I don't actually have a ton. I have good air circulation here. I do have the open window, but I wouldn't want to be doing this under the current conditions on a regular basis, I don't think. Okay, so this one's a bit different. That one is orientated vertically because the controller and more are under these switches. So there isn't really room to use diodes and anything else on the far side. But I do seem to have put it on the right way, which is reassuring. Okay, where's the next one? Okay, back into a line of what I'm considering the correct orientation. I do once more get the impression that that one's only loosely tacked on. Something else that comes with not regularly soldering is inconsistent blobs and joints. Okay. Okay, top row and that first going around the corner were slightly inconsistent. The rest of them, which I did later, seem to be a bit more regularly sized, which is good. So change in direction, going back on the middle alpha row. Okay, so I think the issue may have not actually been the size, but the angle I held the soldering iron allowed for some of the solder to bridge over to the other pad. So less of it stayed where I wanted it. Fortunately, that pad's not in use, and they're not even bridged, so it's just blocked. Well, that's not ideal. It's not the worst either. Okay, steeper soldering iron angle is indeed helping me with keeping the solder where I want it to go. Note to self. These diodes are exactly the wrong way. Come on. Oh no. Twitchy hand managed to nearly mess up that joint, but it was savable. Hello, random guy called Guy. I am not anywhere near professional enough to have set up a bot that would tell you what the build is. But what I am building is a QAZ keyboard, which is sub 4G% with 37 keys, kind of falls roughly into 37%. First stream going. First stream indeed, yep. And I'm using some lightweight Gateron Clears and this DSS Micro Keycap set, which is designed for 35%-ish boards. Thanks, Anton. See you if you're still around to see me say goodbye. Okay, one of those. Okay, two. Two of them are roughly as bad as I thought. But they're fixable. Thank you, Zora bot. A hero if ever there was one. How many keyboards have I built at this point? Good question. I suppose kind of depends on what you think counts as a keyboard. I would call this 8-key artsy board a keyboard. I'd also call this pair of T9 macro pads keyboards. If I'm counting stuff like that, I think this is going to be about 9. I think this might be keyboard number 8. Some of them are those weird small jobs designed with kind of one-handed typing in mind. Some of them, like this, actually resemble a keyboard. This is a OXCB static, which is a 40%. This here is a macro pad. I'll have to show this. You're right, Finn. Those are boards with keys. I'm a 10U fan. So this is what I normally type on. It's called Ishka. It's a board of my design. It's curved, has different columns of different heights. And they're designed perfectly for my hands. So they're weird, but they work beautifully for me. So Finn, 40%. A standard kind of full-size keyboard with a number pad on the side and everything would be roughly 100% and has like 104 keys, I think. So a 40% keyboard is in that kind of 40 to 45 key range. So they're small boards, basically. Thank you, Scruffles. Are you referring to the pink keycaps? I guess they are fleshy. They don't look quite as fleshy in person. I think the light might be doing some unflattering things. They remind me of like squashy sweets. Oh, no music. Good point. Where did that go? I think we may have come to the end of the playlist. And apparently I hadn't set it up for looping. Not 100% sure how to actually make it loop back around, so we're just gonna hit play anytime that happens. Yeah, too much lo-fi. What's lower fidelity than no music at all? Took me a moment to do that one because I forgot that the pine saw puts itself to sleep. So it had cooled down and was heating up while it was on the pad. So that's a bit of an oopsie, but not too bad as they go. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna go and tack on the back ends of all these to try avoid any mishaps. Bridged. Music did stop. Why don't you want to repeat anymore? Hopefully this time this carries on. So I think I had tacked on those ends previously when they were going poorly in real time, but it doesn't hurt to revisit them now. Okay. Gonna revisit these one more time. Just a few of these are a little bit suspect. And would probably work fine, but I'd rather guarantee work fine than probably work fine. Okay, onto the home straight. Final bunch of diodes. Actually, not quite the final set. I forgot that this keyboard has more than 3 rows, which is typical for keyboards, but I lost count. Okay, so diodes to spare. Actually, yeah, let's do it this way. These vertical ones, I tell you, they're less fun. Just different enough to be awkward. Cool. I'm gonna tuck you off from here. many more vertical ones? One more. Okay, two more vertical ones. They're not in this row, but I want to get them over with. You on. And final vertical one, I think. Okay. I think I did you first. The vertical diodes, like, the process is exactly the same if I were to describe it with words, but there is something about them being off axis relative to the other ones that just throws me and makes me worried I'm going to do them wrong. Basically, change is bad. Or maybe more apt, change is scary. Come on. Okay, that one is bridged and it doesn't want to unbridge. But there shouldn't be any issue from what electrically will actually be the same pad. Can I do this? Okay, tied it up in here. Now back to standard orientation. Okay, good thing I noticed two of these are actually not standard. going to do those two while I have the awareness. To hopefully avoid any mishaps by kind of going on autopilot. Whoopee cushion Ziploc bag. I was about to try solder, feeding my tweezers with the solder wire. That would have been a bit of a mess. Cool. One of the weird ones done. One more to go. That's not pretty. This will be the underside. So to some extent, does it really matter if it's not pretty? And to me, the answer is yes. Or I suppose yes, as far as I can help it without dragging this on too long. Okay. Back to the regularly scheduled diode direction for 100% of the remaining pads. Feed. Okay, got that row attached on one side, attached it on the other, and then we've got like 7 more, I think. 9. 7 would be if I did the one big space bar, but I'm going to do split space. This one could be nicer. Which one? Okay. So we're on the home stretch as far as diodes go. Then we'll be on to the more interesting things of the actual bits that people think of as a keyboard. All right. Clean the tip of the iron, and back we go. That's a mess. Come on, final diode. Work with me here. Okay. And with that, we have all the diodes on the board. I'm going to secure them. Then check back with the build guide. I'm pretty sure the next thing is to set up the... Sorry for gassing you guys out there. It's to set up the pins for the microcontroller, which should be a fairly fast job. And then it's the switches, which again, should be fairly quick, just doing 2 pins that are bigger and aren't really moving targets. With my shaky hands, I would love to do some things that are not attempting to roll off of my PCB. Okay. Unless I'm mistaken. Oh, I would have been mistaken. I have one more to do. That one escaped me. One final vertical diode. And I know there's like ugly flux residue, maybe you can't quite see it when it's down there. Some of this brown stuff. But I have some isopropyl alcohol for washing that stuff away once all the soldering is done. Not much point in doing it at this point because we'll be making more of a mess yet. Okay. You seem to be behaving. Everyone else is on in varying degrees of imperfect. Okay, I think we're at the point that I'm gonna have to trust those diodes are actually properly set up for now. Need to get some keys up in here, the microcontroller connected to actually verify them anything beyond just a quick visual scan. Okay, I'm going to go quickly rummage in a box to find the pin headers. Didn't think to bring those with me, so I'll be right back. Okay, I have a few bags out of a box. This bag is not it. But this one is. Surely. Which bag are you in? Okay, so those are not socketed, they're just male pin headers. By any chance are you the socketed ones? Nope. Okay, I may need to dig through one more box. So what I've done on the microcontroller is to make it easy to take in and out. It has pins that can, should, will hook into something like those black sockets. And that basically allows it to kind of lift in place. So you can change the controller, which is sometimes desirable, without going through the hassle of desoldering everything. The difficulty comes when this is your sorting system and things aren't labeled, you're going by quick visual scan. Raspberry Pi Pico. In here, pretty sure these are all male pin headers and not sockets, but I'm going to check. Yeah. So this box, it turns out, was a bust. Fortunately, I don't have too many boxes that they can be in, but they are hiding in this one. They're hiding rather not in this one. I just realized I'm not being first time switch and new. I have not thanked any of you for following because it's kind of slipped past my attention. So I'd like to thank if any of you are here. If any of you are still here, I'd like to thank anyone who's followed. That's very cool of you. I might do more of this kind of stuff in the future, so yeah, might be back. Hello, Jesse. I'm going to take a quick AFK again and dig through another box. Okay, and I'm back. Good thing about not having too many bits is that they can only go so far. So these pins, those gold things, are the pins that stick into that. So I have these pins spare, I suppose, for a future microcontroller if I want one. And these are the sockets. Sorry, I missed instantiate this in the chat. Hello, hello. Again, I'm not accustomed to this process, so forgive me for poor etiquette, if you will. Good to see that maybe I'm not fully alone on not having a ton of organization. Thank you, Steve, for making me feel less disorganized. Okay, so just looking at my build guide, I've got 4 pins off of one of these headers. Okay, and I do have a picture in the build guide of which pins those are. So I guess it's actually a bit self-evident. These pins interrupt with the switch. So the bottom 1, 2, 3, 4 up to in line with that one. They gotta go. I never took my flush cutters out. Well, I wasn't properly thinking. Okay, so if I cut 4 off, and I'll just have to keep track that this one goes in the right spot. Yeah, this is a strange experience, instantiate this. Streaming is not quite natural. This is the part where I would say something like, don't do this at home. Wear safety glasses and stuff. This is done by trained professionals. It should not be recreated. Okay, so I'm just getting clippings. Yeah, this is the most nerve-inducing part of this whole thing, is to not try ruin the build process by blocking myself with this header, but seem to be getting there. Scruffles, maybe you shouldn't even do it somewhere that isn't home. Although maybe you could do it in your place of work with some tools that are better designed for this than my cheapo wire cutter that I got in a €25 soldering kit. Okay, so this one is now 4 pins shorter, and if I do a quick sanity check, those pins are not coming through, so that should give plenty of clearance for the switch, and should be able to get away with doing it like that. Actually, here's something. I have not brought my electrical tape, which I'm going to need to get these pins in if I want to have any hope of them being somewhat straight. So again, a quick break from me at the table. Cool. So what I'm going to do is I have these headers. They are going to be bottom side, which is the art side. I'm going to tape them on and then just tack a bunch of solder onto where the pins go on the top side. And that should all going well. Set me up to get onto the bit where I just put the switches in and everything works. Fingers crossed that it actually goes that smoothly. Okay, I have more tape there than I really need, but the more the merrier, eh? Cool. So it's important that these are straight, not just for aesthetic reasons, though it would bug me if they looked like they were at an angle. But the real driver of them needing to be straight. Oh, this one's having a harder time being straight because I cut the legs off. The real reason they need to be straight is so that the controller actually sits in properly. If it's not reasonably upright, that controller isn't going to want to sit there. And I want it very much to sit there. Okay, looks straight to my eye. Not that my eyes are great. And I have indeed left the 4 missing ones on the correct side. So time to wake up the soldering iron. Get that going again. That's drawing a comfy 47 watts. So it should be hot probably about now. Get enough solder wire to just tack these on in a hurry. Okay, top and bottom, and it still appears to be upright, so I can probably take the tape off now. Oops. Okay, can't take the tape off the other side. The other tape is stuck to the first tape. So I'll just do the same job over here. One, two, three, 4. Okay, so that seems like it's straight and upright and all the good stuff. So I can probably discard that tape. Do a quick check that this still fits. And if it does, we can proceed. If not, I'm going to have to do a bit of wiggling or something to try straighten them before I finish them. Before I finish attaching them properly. Good point, Scruffles. If only I had thought of that before I got this far. Thank you, instantiate this. I will accept your compliment, but I'm not so sure. Not sure I'm doing a superb job at either the build or the more streamy bits of it. Okay. So this is fit pretty well into this side. Right side. I'm blocking myself here, sorry. But not so much the other one, and that's a lot to do with the fact that this isn't properly aligned. So I'm going to do a bit of wiggling, a bit of back and forth, and Yeah, I wonder if I might be able to do this without a ton of fuss. Thank you very much. Your compliments are very much appreciated. I hope to be somewhat educational, I guess, as I sent this link to a few friends who have smarter things to be spending their money on than keyboards. Okay. This is proving a bit more difficult than I thought. Who knew that 4 pins were actually Ooh. Oh, damn. Okay. I now actually understand my issue. Thought I understood the issue. But we're learning something here, you know? And what we're learning is that these pins don't want to fit into this anymore because of the way that I snipped them. I've kind of closed them off. Turns out the pins go further in than I thought. Which might mean that this is kind of working already because it's probably jammed up against the correct bit. But I don't have much confidence that that would suffice with clearance. So what I might have to do is yoink those back pins. I wouldn't want to snip them because I do want this controller to be socketed. Okay, well this shows the issue pretty clearly. That bit of metal firmly wedged that. Okay, may as well be snipping them at this point. But if I yoink them, I'll probably have an easier time of getting some of the pristine new pins that I have over there into this at a later date if I do want to change it. Thank you, Steve. Kind of you to say that as well. Okay. Gonna grab the pins out. Would probably be worth getting my helping hands, but we're gonna go full jank. Let's see if gravity and heat will be enough for us here. Not quite. Yeah, Scruffles, this nice nano is probably going to be at rest in this keyboard after this process, but the more I can do to leave that slightly optional and not basically a requirement, the better. So I'm going to try be a little bit careful. Okay, so I've ripped the battery out. I think this battery is okay. So it might find its home in a different product at some point. I think it's about 110 milliamp hours, which is small, but it's about a week for the primary side of a nice nano. It's probably about a month for the secondary side, which gets a bit more mileage. Okay. So, in the theme of leaning into the jank, rather than actually getting my helping hands, this self-closing tweezers, which kind of works in an inverted way where you have to hold it to keep it open, it is going to serve as helping hands. So I'll just hold this up, making it a bit easier for me to grab one side while I hit the other side. Have to clean the tip. Tip got a bit dirty. Come on. Maybe it is worth just getting the helping hands. This is proving more awkward than I anticipated. Okay. Forgive me. Final time, I'm going to get the helping hands and then rip these four out pretty quick. I thought they were further away, but I did check the first place I thought. I checked where they should be. Unfortunately, they were there. I thought I'd put them somewhere else. Oh, I've lost a hand. I have helping hand at the moment. Helping hand might be enough though, because the benefit of this is the weighted base. That weighted base is probably enough to just actually hold it there. The issue with trying to use in the scheme of things, pretty light tweezers, is that everything was trying to rock away from me. May as well do this properly. Give myself the best shot. Use some magnification. Okay, we're learning a bit here, folks. Or at least I am. Okay, one pin. Get out of here. Pin number 2. What is it with you now? Two pins, halfway there. Three pins. It is 3, isn't it? I would hate to rip out a 5th pin that I don't need to gone. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. If at some point this microcontroller does actually leave this keyboard, I'm going to have to use the solder sucker to unplug those pinholes. The purpose of unplugging them being to get new ones back in if I want to use this on something that actually requires more pins. The benefit of a 37 key keyboard is that you don't need too many pins on your controller, which is a real benefit. But if I was going to use it on something else, chances are I would need more pins. Or if I'm using someone else's design, perhaps I would just need those pins, not even more pins. I'd have to clear the holes to be able to put anything back in the middle. So if I'm correct about what was stopping this from working previously, this should slip right in. Sweet. This is the advanced stuff of doing janky 40% keyboard projects. It's all hacked together. If I did record me building my split board Ishka. I didn't stream it because I did not have the gumption to try do that in front of people. If it failed, having my design fail on stream seemed terrifying. So I avoided that. But I did record it in case it worked out, which it did. I could potentially do something with that. And if I do show that, if I do ever do something with that and put it out on the internet, you will see the hacks and the mess. I could make a montage of me using this solder sucker in that one thing. There was a lot of one step forward, one step back. So I did earlier on when I managed to accidentally bridge some of these pads. Some of the solder slipped through, and one or two of the bits were a little bit big, so I just didn't want them to get in the way of any switches. Thank you, Instantiate This and Scruffles, for the kind comments about what I would describe as quite janky. Yeah, hopefully this will build characters. Hopefully this is a learning experience. Steve, I have actually used the machine pin legs instead of diode legs. So I am a bit bougie, it turns out. Okay, I'm back. Oh, nice one, see. No, it's nice to have the deliveries actually come through. Didn't know you liked Racer X. If that's a reference to my Be Back Soon thing, that I'm not sure what Racer X is. Basically, I'm not sure I follow. So I'm just checking out. Okay, so I can't use this handily. Hello, Blackstark. No free keyboard here, no giveaways. Understood. I am my music taste is firmly in the 2010s, I would say. And firmly inside of indie folk or indie rock as opposed to metal. Okay, so this little 3D printed doodad is basically going to act as a plate. These switches, which are more white than black, only have 3 pins, so they need a bit of help aligning themselves. Whereas the black ones have all 5 pins that use some extra holes for alignment. Indian folk, see, it's the sort of stuff that you get in rural Ireland. Okay, so I should be able to. I only have, I think, between 7 and 9. Counting is hard. Of the white switches, so I'm just going to kind of buddy each one up with one of the black switches, and we're going to try keep them where I want them to go. Apart from aesthetic reasons, which is a motivation for using this thing, mods white. That is an interesting idea. The issue with doing mods white would be some of the white ones would be paired up only with themselves. So I think I'm going to do it this way, because pairing them up with the switches which actually have the alignment should get a better result. So that's one switch in, nice and secure. Now doing its buddy. Cool. As I said, this is an aesthetic thing of it will look nicer if all the keycaps are actually aligned, but also it is slightly functional that if the keycaps weren't aligned, they'd be slightly more likely to bump into each other and give me some hassle. So I'm hoping that this pairing system, with the little 3D printed part, kind of printed makeshift plate, will avoid that. But time will tell. Feels like the first one went in pretty well, but actually you can see here, this one is trying to be off center even with it. So, oh, you're on the Prusa website. They might get me someday as well, because as much as I am fond of my Ender 3, the work that it asks of me sometimes just to get it to do basic prints is a bit much. The thought of having something which is designed to be a bit more set and forget is very appealing. If you can get over the price tag, which has held me back so far. I suppose at the moment I have more time than I do money, so needing to spend time tuning my printer instead of spending money to get a more self-tuning printer is the right balance for me at the moment. But one day. True, the small print beds are definitely cheaper. I think if I was getting a small print bed of some sort, what I might do is to complement my current FDM printer, which extrudes melted plastic. I might get a resin printer, which can do some stuff with finer details and can be a bit faster. Yeah, resin for keycaps. There are some people who have, in the ergo keyboard space, used resin for the actual print, because you're printing a half, and a half on my Ender 3 takes, I think, a half of a keyboard on the Ender 3 takes me 18 to 20 hours, maybe 15 to 20 hours. And on resin, someone took one of my design files and they sliced it for a resin printer, and the resin printer said it would take 6 hours. The thought of having a board done in an afternoon instead of a board done in practically a full day, like setting it, going to sleep one night and having it done in the evening the following day, that sounds really nice. Or just have it done overnight, instead of you wake up in the morning and it turns out it's like a few centimeters up and has many centimeters to go. Yeah, the sleeping is the tough part. I would probably be more inclined to do it during the day and make sure that it's actually working. I have done some things overnight, and I think only once it really bit me. Normally, if you get the first few layers good, chances are the whole thing will work if you're sufficiently well tuned. Oh, the music stopped again. And the thing about the printer, I guess, is that if you can set the first few layers, watch them get done, they work out, then you're fine. But sometimes you're still not fine. Having something that can be done in a shorter time frame where you can kind of afford to watch it the whole time is definitely nice. Yeah, instantiate this. You are 100% correct. Literally, the air in the room, the temperature, whatever, can and will affect the print. Yeah, Scruffles, I have heard that about ABS, probably from you actually. PLA is definitely like a change in temperature or a draft won't ruin your print, but it will leave visible artifacts. And sometimes artifacts that you can feel, which isn't great if you're trying to build a keyboard that you're going to have your hands on all the time. But I suppose those artifacts are more forgiving than just having it fail outright. Okay, so this buddy system seems to be working. They seem to be pretty much in a row. Turns out I'm going to need to take this out to be able to do that pair of switches. So we'll see if it comes nicely. Might have to go get like my Leap card, transport card. Because the pins are a bit stronger, but than say diode legs, but they can still bend, as I showed earlier. Oof. Okay, bent the first two, which isn't pretty, but I should be able to bend those back if I put it in. Front two pins first, bend, and then solder back in. Yeah, it's not my favorite thing to do with the pins, but I've bent them before, so I've gone past the "oh no, have I just ruined everything" emotion, which was definitely the overriding feeling the first few times I bent pins. Okay, these two don't want to sit too nicely because of the legs of the microcontroller. So the ones up at this end are all going to be black because they can hold themselves. You should get back into your 3D printing scuffles. I think you have a nice enough space to yourself now that you can probably actually afford to give some space to it, and I'm sure you'd have a bit of fun messing around with the 3D printer. Get some projects out. They're emotionally stable. If these switches are emotionally stable, they have more going for them than I do. Okay, I must admit, soldering inside of these pin headers is a slightly nerve-wracking experience. I don't want to touch my iron off the plastic and somehow ruin the sockets. That last one in particular was a bit closer than I would like, but it looks like everything's in working order. I'm not sure I have steady hands. They feel kind of twitchy to me. But steady hands would be ideal if I could pull it off. Okay, so this I suppose is the actual real test of these things playing nice with each other. The switches went in, and if I can put this controller back together, okay, I'm having a slightly trickier time bending those front pins than I wanted to. So what I might resort to just to re-show again, front view pins are at more of an angle than the back ones. My handy needle nose pliers are gonna help me straighten them up a bit. All going well. Okay, so the front ones, which were definitely the most bent, they seem like they corrected just fine, at least on that side. Nearly overcorrected that pin, but I think we've got there. They're all more or less still aligned down the row. They now seem to be perpendicular. Yeah, gentle. Using tools that are not made for minute movements to do small things is an interesting experience. Okay, so this seems to sit pretty well, and okay, I have a couple of options basically. I have this backplate, which is the same artwork, or I had 3D printed this case, which I think I'm going to try first. The attachment is the same. It's, I think, what's called tray mount. I just want to see if I set this in here. what I'm hoping I will see is that the controller, the controller, if anything, is sitting too far down there, which means that if I add in the correct mounting hardware, it should come back up to the right height and align with that hole. So that's good. I was worried that it could be a bit tall, a little bit proud. The socket headers, as nice as they are not quite as low profile as you would get using standard male headers. Okay, so we're back to doing switches. Black and white pairs on the bottom row because I don't think I'll get full clearance for my little makeshift plate tool if I use the middle row. Okay, can I do it from the side? Oops. Okay, we've got those aligned pretty nicely. If you'll behave yourself, I need this tray to come back up to temperature. It's been a bit cold. It is nice that it puts itself to sleep because I have walked away from it before and it could have sat at several hundred degrees for a while. But it does feel a tad annoying sometimes when you want it to just be ready. I don't know if this happens if you have heavier switches, but the board is noticeably depressing when I'm trying to solder because 35 grams is pretty light. So that's a quirk of the way I'm doing things. Yeah, I think this tool is a neat idea. Someone else made it. I wish I could claim the stroke of genius that I could have made it myself, but alas, here we are. Okay, so I think... Sorry, trying to figure out the layout. I think I'm using that and that for my... So those larger holes in the middle, I think are going to be the center of my switches. I don't think I'm using this one, which is for a 6U spacebar type of thing. So there should be 3 mods on each side and the split space. I'm just gonna check on my computer to verify. Yeah, 3 on each side. So we're doing it. We're going okay. Gonna have a bit more water. So this stream is nearly 2 hours, which is longer than I thought. And this stream started maybe half an hour after the previous attempt at a stream, so I guess I'm at this 2.5 hours. So I don't know, I might... If this all works first time, we'll get this done in one stream. If it doesn't work first time, I might bounce for the evening and finish this up later. Yes, instantiate this. This will be a split space board. Ergonomic keyboards have ruined me. I can't really use a big space bar anymore. I go to hit with my left thumb when I expect backspace, and I add another space instead. So split space all the way. So this one's a tad maligned. Because I did try to align it with a white one, but the... Let's see if I can just budge it a little bit. I'm not sure if it made any difference at all. Okay, that time I actually made a bit of a difference, a slight correction, which is good, since that's what I'm aiming for. Yeah, not perfect, which is bothering the part of me that would like it to be perfect, but it might just be good enough. It's a shame about the 3-pin situation. So that's what we're working with there. It's pretty close, I think. I do have 2 more white switches. So I'm going to be mirroring this configuration on this side. 1 black switch, 2 neighboring white switches, and then finally the rest of my black bottom switches will just slip on in. Pipe and tilde, or sorry, grav, all over the place when I mean escape. So when you go back to, is it a bigger board? You're missing the keys a bit. I can't tell, is the 65 small for your standards? Okay, most of them are 75 plus, yeah, I can see that then. Yeah, I do get a bit that way of things. I go off of my split keyboards or my 40% keyboards, or basically just my Q and K enabled keyboards. I go to do a combo for something, or I go to hold the F key to do shift, and instead of shift I get F and then another letter. So some of my muscle memory from my everyday typing does not carry over at all to traditional keyboards. It is kind of the danger of going down the rabbit hole of ergonomic and programmable is I have introduced incompatibilities with standard keyboards. Okay, this one seems like it's aligning a little bit better out the gate than its friend did on the other side. I'm gonna retin that tip. Cool, if this is pretty much straight, and it looks it to me, quickly fire in the rest of the switches and try plug it in and see what it does. I will have to flash it. Let's see if I can get a handy firmware file to verify the work, basically, because making the firmware from scratch just the way I like it is definitely not something that I have scope for in this stream. And it would be nice to verify the electronics. If not, the methodology is right there, and it'd be a matter of reflowing some joints or something to make sure that it works. But I think this nice nano was previously in a Corn, which definitely has a different wiring than the QAZ. So there's no way that any signal would come out as something intelligible. Korn is a 42 key split keyboard. It was my first homemade split keyboard, and I like it a lot. But the split nature makes the firmware file very different to something that a unibody or one-piece board would have. Yeah, Korn's a pretty board, and I have and don't terribly use mine anymore since I've actually built my own Acorn, but I've thought about getting... What is going on here? I've thought about getting the P3D Korn with an acrylic case because they are very pretty. What I will probably do is get some keyboard I don't have in a P3D case and then probably never use it, but just look at it because it looks nice. But I won't be doing that anytime soon. Those are pricier. This PCB was €5. This is a cheap affair. Most of the parts I had lying around already. This is a budget build. Okay, I'm gonna try set up the stabs before I put in the last couple of switches. Mostly as a way of verifying at this late stage that they're set up correctly. Okay. Attaching stabs. Everything related to stabs, stabilizers, is not the highlight of this build. Yeah, exactly, with 40 switches and 40 keycaps, or 37, round up to 40, it's a rather budgety, which is good. Cornish then is a very good option for a pretty Korn. Steve, you're definitely correct on that front. And though wireless and ZMK call to me, because it's kind of my bread and butter, the Korn that I have is already low profile and wireless using ZMK, so getting the Zen would feel just a tad too similar. Even though the Cornish Zen has more niceties. I think I'm gonna have to just try this with the actual screws and stuff because it doesn't quite want to sit on its own. If it wasn't built, I'd consider it more. Yeah, it is nice that there's a wireless low profile ergonomic pre-built. Like once you get into that space, like you're so niche that you do lose it's nearly all DIY kits and stuff at that point, which is off-putting to a bunch of people. So it does hit a certain market by not being something that you build yourself. But it also then loses a certain market of people who like building. Stabilizers are a pain. Yeah, no, just dropping the switches in is not the fun part, and particularly with chalk switches where you have a more limited selection, there's even less room to be like a switch connoisseur or whatever. It's like there are limited options on the market to begin with. Some of them are known by the community to not be good, so that there's only like 5 popular types of chuck to begin with. Like it loses that aspect of the hobby. This should not be so difficult, but I'm having a terrible time trying to get this in. Forgive me, any idea that, any preconception you had that I might be actually competent at this, I'm sure is fading at this point. So close, yet so far. So the issue is that the back of the stab isn't locking quite the way it should. I do remember in my one other stabilizer experience that it felt difficult to get it to lock in, but this is beyond that. Okay, got a bit more success with the other side stabilizer. Yeah, I know one other stabilizer experience I've built. This will be my 8th keyboard build, and this was the 3rd stabilizer I've ever installed. I'm atypical. Oh, thank you for the kind words. I'm sure that anyone with more conventional keyboard experience would have a much easier time installing the stabilizers, but I do feel fairly competent when it comes to putting on the diodes and switches. This is so close to aligning. I wouldn't have guessed it, but it could be the stabilizer that brings me to my wit's end on this stream. If I don't manage to screw this in at some point in the next couple of minutes, I will probably put keycaps on and call it a day and actually finish it off stream. Don't think I have the patience to make this much of a fool of myself in front of a crowd. Patience or humility, whichever. Yeah, we can all in the keyboard hobby find whatever appeals to us. It is the nice thing that I can have my very strange zero stabilizer keyboards that feel comfy to my hands, and it doesn't offend or affect anyone that wants something else from their keyboards. Okay, so somehow, eventually that stabilizer did seem to find its home. Although, having said that, it doesn't want to make room for the switch anymore. Okay, new plan. Stabilizer, it's getting installed after the stream. to have more time and attention to dedication to that than I'm willing to give to it at the moment. So what I'm going to do is put the switches in, and the keys are only 2U, so they won't be a complete disaster without the stabilizer for the purpose of the stream, and you can finish it off properly by just slipping the stabilizer around it later on. Since there's no plate in the way, that should be doable. Okay. With that unfortunate diversion coming to an end, heat this up again. Tack in, 60 solder joints pretty quick, and pretty much call it a day. I missed that stream, but I find it reassuring to hear that you also find it frustrating and subject this. And indeed, was it Steve that said that we've all sworn at a stabilizer? I'm this close. I did break the seal on swearing in the previous stream, but doing my best to not lose it at this time around. The previous stream, for anyone that arrived more recently, was half an hour long and was dropping frames and stuff, so that's it was the very beginning of this. I am still effectively in my first stream here and still very much a novice. But we're going through these switch pins at a rate of knots, which is nice. They go in so much easier than any of the diodes. And it's nice to not have the headache of any of these switches moving around, since I already did the 3-pin ones. So we should be done with this very quickly. I have about half of the switches left. Just did half of them there. I might do another keyboard stream at some point in the next month with Zaphod, which is a 32 key unibody split. It has 2 distinct halves, but it is one PCB. And it actually comes with some PCBA, which is kind of unheard of in the split community, where sometimes you just have to order the PCBs out yourself from a manufacturer. So none of the diode messing around, none of the microcontroller nonsense. That's a get in there with 32 switches, solder in a jiffy, and you're done. So I might do that not as a multi-hour build stream that's slightly educational, but more as an opportunity to talk about that weird small keyboard. Oops, that one doesn't have any switches in it. Okay, and I think that was the last pin. I'm just going to check my handiwork. Don't want to miss any of them. How did you go after that stabilizer with the tweezers? Maybe I should have broken out tweezers when fighting the stabilizer there a few minutes ago. Okay, I don't seem to have missed any pins. Hello, Katie. I do recognize you, Katie. How are you doing? Thank you. I do like the mat. It's got some nice colours. Okay. Now I'm going to take a moment to scrub this down. I thought I mightn't, but I will indeed. I am a bit like a fixer, it's true. I'm in a bit of a handyman for the evening. Oh, that went on funny. Cool. Fix that. So this is just some isopropyl alcohol and a toothbrush that never goes in my mouth. I do brush my teeth. This one is full of not nice things though, so that's it is exclusively for wiping away solder flux messes. Which I don't do all the time, but the bottom of this PCB is meant to be a little bit pretty. Someone went through the effort of putting in some PCB art on the bottom, so I would try to get rid of some of the stains. I am listening to the same music as what's playing on the stream. I thought about just having my regular nonsense music on the Spotify and piping different music into the stream, but as it turns out, I do like the lo-fi chill hop stuff as a way of staying a bit more calm. Yes, the board is looking cute. This stuff will dry right up, the alcohol will evaporate away. It should have brushed away any of the mess. I do like the smell, and I am eager to not try the taste, it turns out. Okay. This is going to be a slightly more boring part of the stream where I quickly look up ZMK configs for the QAZ keyboard to see if I can find someone else's build. Okay. This person, do they have the GitHub action set up? They do. Oh no, their firmware expired. I haven't seen that happen before. So the good thing about ZMK is that kind of the default way of building your firmware is to pretty much the default way of building your firmware is through GitHub, and GitHub has this cool thing called GitHub Actions, which will build your firmware and store the files for that build in the cloud. So I'm just quickly trying to Google to see if I can find someone's. I haven't had luck, but what I have done is found someone else's, and I might be tempted to just fork theirs quickly and use that. Basically, they had a file up, but it expired. So I'm trying to figure out how can I do the least amount of work. Yeah, the GitHub Actions stuff is really cool. It's a very clever way of being kind of more user-friendly than, not as user-friendly as VIA, but more user-friendly than if you're trying to do straight QMK. And yes, super sucker, the room is well ventilated. I'm trying not to do too much sniffing. Okay, so there should be a pretty quick way to get the firmware for the QAZ, even if I'm going from scratch. So I'm just trying to figure that out. Okay, so let's give this a go. I'm going to window capture. Okay. We're gonna go on an adventure. So let me bring this back. So I'm using the fish shell, and what I'm doing here is just trying to find the place that I put my other files. Okay, found it. And if I go into bash here, so what I'm doing is, this is a ZMK tool where I can pick a keyboard. So I'm going to pick number 35, the QAZ. And I'm using a nice Nano V1, which is board number 3. And I'd like to use the stock key map. I'm skipping the GitHub stuff because I have that set up already. Cool. Can log edit bash. Okay, I've made a bit of a mess. So I've set up a new ZMK file folder in here. Okay. This is fixable. And this is where I show that even though I'm somewhat comfortable in the terminal, moving files is like the trickiest thing for me to get right. I always manage to mess up one level. So I'm just going to do this part. In the Finder, and you want to see that. So in the Finder I've removed all those files basically. We can probably close the terminal now, which means that I should hide that there. And at this point I'm just taking the files that are provided to me, and I'm going to try make a build with it. And I would show this, except it's a little bit finicky. So if I try to show it, odds are I'd make a mistake. So I'm going to relieve some pressure from myself to go do this kind of on my own time. Not showing it to the stream. Okay, so what I'm doing is I've lost which space I was in. I use multiple spaces on the Mac. So what I've done here is open up VS Code, which I never use, but that integrates nicely with Z1K, which is the firmware I'm using. And I should be able to, at this point, just do a quick build command. And it should take the files that you saw me get. And it should do something with them. That something is make a file that I can actually use. Sorry, I hadn't looked at the chat room. I'm just going to do that for a sec. Yeah, Vile and Via do seem like nice ways to do your firmware Z. Although I did use Vile briefly, and that every time you close it, seemingly I had to get the JSON files again, which seems like a very strange design decision. And also, yes, Scruffles, if you're there, you should consider not inhaling the lovely fumes from your rosin flux. Okay, so I made a slight mistake in the way that I opened VS Code. I guess some of the pressure got to me, even though there's not that much. And I'm hoping that this time around I've just fixed it. If not, we might have a slightly uneventful end to this. You should do Word on stream. I did Word for today on already, unfortunately, which Generate that does it at midnight. So an interesting suggestion as something a bit more chill than this maybe, but won't be what I'm doing. Goodness, nano. Okay, the issue I'm having at the moment with VS Code is that there's this Docker instance thing with VS Code, and that is what's caused me headaches. So I think I may have just fixed it. Finally. But it has been what's causing me the headache so far. Oh no, this is not the fault of VS Code, this is my fault. I will take full ownership of that. See. But it does appear that I've actually finally opened it in the correct container. and west build, which is the build command, seems to have worked. So we can get on to things actually happening on the desk again. What this should do is make a nice drag and droppable file for me that I can, for all the messing about of me not knowing how to properly use the tools I'm using, I should now get to something that I do understand, which is go dropping the file that I want onto the board that I have. So I've plugged in my nice nano microcontroller. I'm going to bridge the reset pads. Easier said than done, it seems. The unfortunate issue with it is that there's a timing thing. So I have to hit it twice, and I have to hit it twice fast. The unfortunate thing about hitting a small target is that it's hard to hit once, let alone twice fast. So I'm hitting it once. Okay, we got the twice. Super. Took me a while, but we got there. So I do now have my file. So I have the nice now connected to the computer. I'm just zipping around the Finder to get Zephyr. Okay, the file isn't done building yet. Taking a moment, but I think it should be done soon. Seems like it came across some dependency that I haven't come across before, and that's having it slow down. Yeah, no, it's nice to have the one user-friendly part of the process when the rest of it is slightly user hostile. So I have this file building, should be able to drag and drop once it's done. And that drag and drop will put the firmware on it. It should take like a second for that firmware to kick into effect. You can then try test the keystrokes to make sure it's actually working. What I might do while I wait for this, which is taking a bit longer than I thought, is skip to putting on keycaps for a minute. Okie dokie, so we have everyone's favorite, a split spacebar. This one I think favors the bigger of the bars on the left hand side. Yep. We have an unusually large P key, an unusually large A key, and where's my last large letter? And we have a rather large Z. Everything else is a bit more normal, but this is kind of the quirk and charm of this keyboard, is things aren't quite normal. ZXE, I put that on the B slot like a novice. G. So I do know where keys go, but I do have to think about it, it seems. Don't know it quite as off by heart as I wanted. Yeah, Katie, since you have shown up more recently than some of the other people, this keyboard, the appeal, if you can call it that, is that it's very small and that it uses weird keys in weird places to allow for it to be small. So you have big zap, you have a large full stop. And some of what you'll get is people doing things like they won't actually have a key labeled A or Z or even Q. So it has earned the name QAZ because those are kind of the first letters one might notice aren't as they seem. So the keycaps I got for this are DSS Micro, which came from MechVault in the US. And MechVault, I think, are the people running... Oh, they're running some nice set. Is it DSC Terminal? Something like that. It's they're running one nice set at the moment that I was tempted by, but the appeal of this particular set is that it fits this board perfectly. It's designed with it in mind, and it was in stock. Currently out of stock. Sold out since the time that I clicked buy. Here's the B key that I missed earlier. SDF. QWERTY. That over here. Okay, so when I had looked away, it seems that unfortunately something about VS Code went wrong. Could be that I'm trying to stream and do some other stuff in the background. It seems like I have one slightly wonky switch. A little bit of a gap there. Let's see if I can hit that up. But this is QAZ. Yes, sold out is basically the slogan of keyboards. DCS input, I think DCS input is the other set that MechVault are running, but this set is DSS Micro. Giant Z is handy because, you know, whose hands go this way to hit Z? No one's. It's a nice easy target. I think my soldering iron is hot. I'm going to try press on the J and straighten this one up a bit. Basically with whatever it is that VS Code has done or not done, which I'm sure is my fault and not Zora's fault, I might end up leaving it here. UI gap, yeah, you're right actually. And that's a white switch, so that explains that. Yeah, no, you spotted that well. I'm gonna try heat up those two switches then, I guess, and see if I get it. But I think I'm gonna probably wrap it up for the day after I try hit those two switches, and I will finish the rest of it off stream. This has been the chunk of it. Certainly the closest bits to being interesting, and the remainder is going to be me being upset with my computer for a short while, which perhaps some people would find entertaining, but I would find heartbreaking. Okay, I think I've straightened out you and I a little bit. Not quite perfect yet, but it's improved slightly. Yeah, I think that's closer to proper now. Some of the tweaking can be done in my own time, I think. Am I hitting the right one here? Lovely, cute thing. Yes, thank you. I'm a fan of it myself. Oh, you closed the library soon? Well, perfect timing, I guess. We would love to see it. This one is a black switch, so it's a bit unusual that it's off-center. Perhaps it's the H that's actually a bit weird. No, it does look like it's the J. Yeah, I will go to tweaking this in my own time. But thanks everyone that showed up, turned out. Thanks for the kind words. I hope that you enjoyed this. I'm going to have a bit of fun once this gets going properly. Yeah, have a great evening or night wherever you are, and I might be doing this again soon sometime. Bye folks.